The boss toss is starting to the top right of the map, just renewed his contract with SK. It is, of course,
SKMC.
One of the strongest Protoss to have ever sat in that booth. Very strong in there. Just always rocking in the booth, getting himself pumped up. His opponent, formerly of Kespa's 8th team, but now has joined a team of evil geniuses. He is
EGJD Lady Core.
gets his lady call here, and also the female fans in the studio are cheering for him.
They sure gave that call.
Yeah, he has so many female fans, it's a bit insane.
Yeah, just some of them from all parts of the world.
Going for that Hello, going for the Hello Kitty cover.
Yeah. Better than the Kermit the Frog cover, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, right now we have MC up against Jaedong, and once again, of course, MC going into the 2-base play at first. What we are used to is not going for a Forge in the main base or a gateway. This is one of the styles that we've seen a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of Protoss players, especially in the European scene, try to make the gateway first play work again because it screws the timings a little bit up. You have the fast attack, and some Zerg players don't really know how to adapt to this. On the other hand, we have Jaedong, who is forced to go into the pool because this is one of the maps where you don't really want to go for hatch first.
Yeah, it's
the
too
risk,
risky.
Yeah. Exactly. The risk of running into a forge first play and then into cannons is just too big.
If you look at the way that those mills are, which we'll get a shot of them again, there's a little gap where you can block with 2 pylons and complete the wall of cannon off, and the Zerg is out of luck if he doesn't have anything in there to stop you.
Well done here by Jaedong. MC for a second not paying attention to his probe, and therefore immediately the 3rd base being built by Jaedong. Very well done. Didn't even have to attack the probe again. Probe doesn't lose any hit points, so MC with a slight slip up here could have blocked it for another 4 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't really work out, so Jaedong gets his base.
That's really important for Jaedong, because if you get that 3rd base first, you're a little bit less comfortable. It's hard to transfer drones and queens, but you still have that creep spreading, and you have that larva available to you. If you get both bases denied, yeah, MC has to micro a lot. He's going to maybe have to put another pylon down, so it costs him some resources, but it's much worse to be the Zerg player in that case.
Yeah. Jaedong recently hasn't played too many Protoss players. He played Stats in Pro League and he lost against him, but in MLG vs Pro League Invitational that we had in October last year, he faced 2 Protoss players. At the end it was Soccer and Grubby, and against both of them he didn't lose a single map, so he must feel really confident in this matchup. The probe is trying to sneak in again, and well, we'll try to confirm that there's not only the 3rd base but also another hatch at the natural. And of course for MC now, once again, it's the question, what does he do? Will we see the MC's type of going into a 2-base attack? Is he going for the Stargate again, which he really loves? Which a lot of Protoss players actually have used against Zerg in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Rain being one of them, starting with Phoenixes, transitioning over, then later on. We have seen Hero use it, going into a 3-base Immortal push.
That Stargate play is really coming back right now, and MC is kind of like the only guy who was still doing it while everyone else had stopped for a while. And so I'm really curious to see if he's going to do it. I would actually be surprised if he does not. The Immortal push is still very much trending right now in Korea, and I think that it's a bit predictable, but for MC, being Jaedong and studying him, it's hard to say. It's like, well, is MC going to actually stick with his Stargate, which he seems to be better at? Or is he going to go the Immortal push that everyone else is doing, but he doesn't normally do? It's really hard to judge.
It's also the map. A lot of Protoss players don't really like to play it on this map anymore. They say that here Zerg players just have figured out how to do it. You spread the creep fast at the 3rd base, you try to get a couple of Zerglings ready for a run by, and if you're able to stop the Protoss player in the middle of the map with just flanks and attempts, then it's so difficult for him to get into a good position where he can use his force fields. And of course, as predicted, MC going into the Stargate play.
Yep.
No surprise.
This is something that Jaedong has not yet been able to scout, but he has his Overlord position to the left side to go in and try to look. And I think that we're going to see Phoenix play. That seems to be the way that most Zergs are, or that seems to be what Zergs are facing these days. Zerg's not usually making any Phoenixes in this matchup, generally speaking. But the Overlord comes in now, and if MC wants to show it, he will. But I think because he's moving these Stalkers out, unfortunately, if the Overlord comes in right now, he's not going to have the units to stop it. So it's all about coincidence here. Is Jaedong going to send the Overlord in?
Right now we have the lair tech already going down for Jaedong and MC with the Phoenixes that you just mentioned. We'll see how he's going to play them. Of course, now the Overlord getting into the main base and also scouting the Stargate. He knows it, and immediately the Phoenix is attacking the Overlord. So what Jaedong is going to do now is produce extra queens, getting those Spore Crawlers up, trying to be defensive. But the small forward here with 2 Stalkers and a Zealot could do some damage. The only thing that MC doesn't really know is the gas timing. So that's why he's reluctant to attack, and also because he has to move onto creep with the Zerglings up fast enough to get us around.
Exactly. He wants to be very cautious here. He just pokes a little bit, very MCS. That's what we were talking about. This is not the same push out with the Stalk and the Zealot that cost him to die against Roro, but it's very similar how he likes to move out with those units. There's a lot of speedlings on the map for Jaedong right now. He's got 18 spores are ready. Speed is getting closer to being done, but this small speedling force on the map for Jaedong is what he's going to start reinforcing to try to make sure that MC can't take that third base.
MC is getting 3 additional gateways now. He wants to have a bit more gateway pressure, wants to have the production ready, and he's also going into the Robo. At the same time, with the finished lair tech, we have Jaedong going into the Speed Force Roaches. Speed Force Zerglings is nearly completed, and the +1 armor upgrade to just counter the +1 attack upgrade of MC, so that those Zealots will have a bit of a harder time against the Lynx.
Yeah. The Phoenix here is just so annoying that he has to continue to deal with this. He has to make additional Spore Crawlers. Phoenixes have killed very little. He's actually continuing to make them, but just their presence here becomes very, very frustrating for Jaedong. And the units lost at this point. Very conservative for Jaedong, only losing, looks like 2 Overlords in a drone this entire game, despite the Phoenix opening.
And the Overlords were his scouting Overlords, so it's not like he lost anything in his main base. Very well played. MC wants to get into a third base. He's now going for the Templar Archive too. Has the Robo nearly completed. So we are heading into a bit of a longer game. The pro production has not been cut by MC. He's already up to a 53 and is still producing. Pathogen Glands now coming up for Jaedong. So we have kind of the style that we usually see on Daybreak. Occasionally, with the Roro match against MC, you see strategies that are a little bit different. We had also Life using... wait a second. Yeah, Life just recently trying to go for a proxy hatch here when he was facing a double gateway proxy, which was also pretty funny. But yeah, at this point, we have more of a standard style.
Yeah. You're right, and the Infestors come out now, Pathogen Glands lined up. He's getting the robotic support by MC as that before the Nexus is being made. This is a very safe way to do things, but it also gives Jaedong the flexibility to now double expand, and he goes for Spire.
Double expansion and Spire to counter the Colossi of his opponent. Those Infestors that we now have on the map are of course also a big threat to the Phoenixes. It means if MC is overextending himself too much, then suddenly there will be a fungal and then all the Phoenixes are going to die. And he wants those Phoenixes for later on. If you save those, then later in the game you can use them with your main attack. You can start lifting Infestors, and this reduces the number of Infestor Terrans that you have to face. Of course also the fungals, and really important here. So you want to save them for as long as possible, and lifting Zerglings is wasting energy.
It's not a lot of energy, but yeah, it's still, is it worth it? I don't know. I mean, to me personally, I don't like it all that much, but it's something you can do.
On the other hand, he has the energy, and you can really see with his movements in the middle of the map, he doesn't want to go towards the side of Jaedong because he knows that there are Infestors. Exactly. He's very, very careful. So he just is the entire time active with the Phoenixes on his side of the map, trying to scout of whatever is going to happen here, and this is why he uses the energy for the Phoenixes, for the Zerglings, because he knows at this point I can't do anything else with them.
Exactly. He also wants to make sure the Watchtower is clean with those Phoenixes. That's something you can do to pick up those Lings, because picking up those Lings on the Watchtower is actually really important. Picking up this Ling here, for example, is very positional, because that Ling is only there actually to spot for any units that might go down to that bottom right. Now he knows, okay, there's no Ling to spot for this. And he knows his opponent's Ling move outs. He just wants to, again, like you said, stay away from those Infestors. Jaedong has played a very safe game. He's gone step by step into the late game. He got just the right amount of Infestors to double expand in case there's an attack, the right amount of Lings to pressure but not overcommit. Now he's got his Hive, he's starting Corruptor production. He really has just gone step by step into the Hive tech without really any major hiccups.
At this point, he of course has too many drones. This is what you want to have. You want to have too many drones in the early mid-game, then you have a great economy, you are building up this bank, and then later on you use them for the spine crawlers that you have to build eventually to make sure that a Protoss player is not able to move out and hit a pre-Broodlord timing and just take you down. And MC is moving out, he's trying to get in there. Blink is not done yet, and this is exactly what we talked about earlier. He's lifting those infestors, and this is a bad situation for Jaedong. He's even losing more of them. They are moving in. Oh
wow.
my god.
Every single one goes down without really any damage done. And you know, I feel like he could have used his burrow upgrade to try to save them, but he doesn't know if there's an observer nearby to spot, so might not have been useful. There he goes, using it to save that last one.
Yeah.
But that was a ton of resources lost. I mean, that is part of the backbone of his army. He's got to use a ton of gas to remake those. That's less gas for Broodlords later.
And they have less energy later on, so this is really, really big blow to Jaedong's force. And now Jaedong has to try to defend all these bases. Going for the double base, the 4th and the 5th, gives him a good economy. It leaves him open against attacks though, and he has 1,000 minerals on the bank, and he needs to use those minerals to get spine crawlers. And here are the first 4 of them. He needs more though. MC is going to try to hit before the Broodlords are ready. He's already starting his Warp Prism so that he can reinforce, that he can get into the main base. This is a really tense time for Jaedong.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's doing a great job of shutting down the Zealot run-bys, for example, to his base to the top left. He's shut down all vision as well. But now, here comes a fight that we may see really significantly impact the game. The Phoenixes are actually just fighting Corruptors because there's no Infestors left. The Roaches can't even fight here. And this is terrible for Jaedong. This is not a fight he wants to take. He's desperately running his Corruptors towards MC's main base. That's how desperate he is in this fight. He doesn't have enough damage output. He's going to take out some of these Phoenixes, but that's not what these Corruptors are for.
He wants to get over the cliff here to get as far away from those Stalkers as humanly possible, and that's exactly what he does, but he lost a lot of them, and there are still so many Colossi ready for MC. He still has 3 of them, and now he's trying to move in. More and more spine crawlers are being built for Jaedong right now.
And they're so important because this is the timing that MC wants to hit before Broodlords. Right now, with +3, with a few Archons with charge, everything he needs is lined up, and the Infestor count is pretty low. He's coming through. The Spines are not ready. A great bungle locking down those Zealots, but can he take out the Colossi?
Oh wow, here come the Corruptors, and the Stalkers blink a little bit back, and now they're trying to shield those few Colossi. But look at the supply here. MC is plummeting down in supply. He can't really reinforce his army, and there's still so much for Jaedong. He's building 44 Zerglings and a lot of Roaches, getting the Adrenal Glance upgrade as well, only seconds from finishing, as well as +2 attack upgrade.
Absolutely. You know, the Zealots for MC were a little bit stuck behind his army for parts of the fight, plus the fungal on almost all of them that just really made them useless. Really affected this fight, but MC is still going strong with this +3. Thing is, his reinforcements, where are they? They're not here yet. Now he's bungled. He's going to lose all of his Stalkers here, and it looks like Jaedong is actually going to hold. Yeah, he loses 1 hatchery, but that's what the double expand is for. He's got something to fall back to.
A big problem for him, for MC, was that in the last fight, the Colossus didn't participate, couldn't do anything against the Zerglings. All the Stalkers died, and MC is dropping down to 100 supply. He hit the perfect timing before +1 for the Roaches was finished. +1 for the Zerglings wasn't done just yet. Sorry, +2. We didn't have Adrenal Glance. He didn't even know about this timing, but he hit it perfectly. The first fight he traded really well, but Jaedong just had too much. He reinforced over and over again, and then the Colossus attacks the base instead of the Zerglings. Big problem here for MC.
I feel like MC relied heavily on his Zealot composition because he saw how many Infestors he killed, and he was like, well, if there's very few Infestors, maybe my Zealots can actually close the gap, and I can use those to deal with the Lings, but in reality, the Lings actually were just too much. This base for MC was a good idea, considering his push, but since his push didn't work, he doesn't even try to mine from it, pulls those probes away immediately. He's not going to try to fight here because he can't, and then now he's kind of desperately hoping he could do some harassment with this Warp Prism, maybe shut down a few bases, because survival is actually his top priority right now.
Indeed, that's definitely true. He warps in a few units, try to harass here. He needs to find a bit of an opening. The Zerglings are coming in, though. The rest of the army is already moving to the left side of the map. And Jaedong is on 4 bases. He's rebuilding the 4th base. MC is so on a clock now. He really needs to just get a huge army and move out. He cannot take a 4th base. I don't think that Jaedong would allow it.
Yeah, since he killed those Corruptors, he knows that the Broodlords are not there yet, but he's on that clock. So what he's going to want to do here is turtle on his 3 bases, try to get that 4th base up. He's even going to try to take the 4th while he makes his army because he knows he needs it. He knows the army that he has can work really well in a funnel position.
We have +3 armor now coming up for Jaedong, +2 attack for the Roaches. MC has 3 attack upgrades, but he doesn't have a single armor upgrade, he doesn't have a shield upgrade, and he can't afford them. He cannot afford to get additional upgrades, whereas Jaedong is building a bank again, getting those Broodlords and the upgrades at the same time, so tough times for MC.
Yeah, I mean, MC knows, okay, the Broodlords aren't on me yet. I can fight against mostly Lings with Archons, and the few Colossi I have out, he's going to make Corruptors. If he fights me with Corruptors, and the Broodlords are delayed again, so he's just kind of getting into a good position here. He knows the rocks are still up. He can see the army with an observer. He's taking this forward. The game is not over yet. MC has actually put himself back in this with this great defensive position, but the bank of Jaedong is the big problem here.
And MC is trying to get the 4th base. He's not even in a position where he can get a mothership out because he has no resources, so he's really trying to get this 4th. And I talked about it earlier. Jaedong has to identify that MC is getting a 4th base and then he has to crush it. He knows already that the main base is about to be mined out. The same goes for the natural. So if he is able to prevent MC from getting a 4th, this is all that he has to do. And he's trying to go for the 3rd, trying to take down the Nexus. He's going to snipe it.
With Adrenal Glance, he'll certainly get it. A nice wall here will actually allow MC to clean up this army, but he's going to have to go for some sort of counter pressure after this. He cannot accept losing his 3rd base and just sit back at home. Now he's got a huge lead, and this is where the bank and the larva comes in. 14 Spine Crawlers, though, already ready for Jaedong, finishing up as we speak. You can see them quite literally on the screen here. And how does MC respond? Does he go for the attack now? It looks like he wants to, but the rocks are still there. They were once his friend, but now they're his enemy.
Jaedong knew exactly in the last fight that he can't trade. It doesn't really matter what he loses. As long as he takes down the base of MC, he's going to be fine. He can reinforce with high-level expensive units. That's what he does. So many Infestors. And now MC is forced to attack into the Spine Crawlers. Great funnels, pinning those zealots down before they can close the gap. And here are all those Broodlords. And what can he do? Blinking forward, trying to...
He may have enough. This is actually insane. He had the Watchtower. He saw the angle of approach. The Infestors are going down. 10 more on the way.
That's the big problem. 10 more Infestors are being built. Now, even if this base dies, Jaedong still has so much, but the Broodlords, they are about to be dead.
You know, all the gas went into those Infestors that he just remade.
14 Infestors on the tap.
Oh, and so many of these actually may come out in this fight and may die instantly. The Corruptors here are going for those Colossi, but they're actually in a lot of trouble. Is it worth it? He's going to get one. He's not going to get the second one. He loses all of his Corruptors. And you know what? I think MC may have too much momentum with this Warp Prism now.
MC, despite all the odds, despite everything that we had in the army of Jaedong, is now moving forward. And those Infestors, they don't have support.
Yeah, no support. They're support units themselves. They need Roaches with them. They need Lings at least. And Jaedong is now falling apart here a little bit. MC's push is too much.
Jaedong was confident that he could stop the army of MC. He didn't even try to move his Broodlords when the first wave of Stalkers blinked in. But now the Broodlords are gone and he can't get any of those. He's trying to reinforce with Roaches, but there's the GG. MC is really turning this around. I can't believe it.
You know, he took that opportunity where his 3rd was sniped and he killed every single Zergling. He knew he had the Colossus count. He knew the Broodlord count was still fairly low at the time because he killed the Corruptors earlier.
I did not expect him to push through here. I did not expect him to take this. After we had the army set up for Jaedong, he built those additional Spine Crawlers. It really looked like MC was in too much trouble. But he takes the win, he takes the comeback, moves in with the army. It was too much. The Archons at the front, all those Colossi that he still had. The Corruptors never really able to take them down. Had to move over the Archons, died immediately. Good positioning in the last fight, and MC takes the first game. Jaedong now down a game in the up and down group.
That was a very insane counterattack. I mean, the Spine Crawlers were just finished. I feel like if Jaedong had those Corruptors from earlier and he had the Broodlords out, maybe just 6 to 8 instead of just the 4 that he had ready there, I think he would have been able to push it back with the Broodlings starting to mass up. But MC with a great knowledge of when to go hard. I thought he was going to maybe kill the base. Jaedong's bank would kick in, he'd have the Broodlords, he'd have map control. But
me too.
Then MC said, no, I'm just going to kill you.
MC takes the game, and now we're jumping into the 3rd game of the day. It's going to be a Protoss versus Terran. Vampire already joined the lobby, and we are waiting for one of the stars of this first group in the up and downs of Group A. Flash is playing against Vampire now, and Flash had quite the run today. He's in such a great shape, taking down EGTL in Pro League without dropping a single map, of course, in the all-kill format that they have this round. Was quite impressive. He played very well. and now he's going to face another Protoss opponent.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty interesting. Vampire has a lot to prove in this group. I think this is probably, if I had to look at one of these 6 players and say who's gonna have the toughest time, I would look at him and say, sorry man, hope you can get at least 3rd place here because you are playing against the best of the best in the world in this group. And the map is Whirlwind, a good map actually for Protoss against Terran. As long as you can get ahead, especially with those upgrades, really easy to snowball things with Storm and Colossi as long as you maintain that proper ratio.
Oh, here we have Flash to the right. He took out 2 Protoss players today already. He was able to win against not only Hero but also JYP. And now he is up against an MVP Protoss player, up against Vampire on a Whirlwind in his first game, the up-down group. Last season he started with 2 wins, but then he lost too many games and was not able to get out of the up and downs, had to play in Code A, and now we have him in the up and downs once again.
I really like that new KT jersey that they've got Flash wearing. It looks really just very professional. Looks like something Flash would wear. Flash, one of the only customer players to be around this long and just stick with his team and say, you know what, I have so many offers, I got so many people out there reaching out to me, trying to grab onto me. I'm one of the best players in the world and I know it, but I'm going to stick with KT. He's been with this team for so long. He's really just been their face, I would say, for StarCraft 1 and now going into StarCraft 2, and nothing has changed.
There's a reason they call this guy God. And
There
well,
certainly is.
today he kind of proved it, but now he's playing in the up and downs, and will he get out this time? The last time, as mentioned earlier, he got a little bit unlucky in the end, was off to a great start, but then lost, and now he's up against Vampire, a player that we've seen in the up and downs several times. Can he do it today? Can he win this game? The first one is one of the toughest. It is against Flash, this time on a Whirlwind. What did he prepare for this first game?
So we're about to find out, man. This is insane. This is both players' first game of the group. Vampire versus Flash, rounding out our first set of 3 games. It's on Whirlwind, as mentioned before. To see if Flash has something special planned or if he is just going to use his superior mechanics to get to the late game.
Yeah. Flash with a 70% win ratio against Protoss. It's his best matchup, and we are good to go at the GSL up and downs. Flash versus Vampire, brought to you by Colin Wolf.